Hey guys, hope you're well. Today we'll be breaking down the third fight between Andy Cruz and Keyshawn Davis. I wanted to do the Olympics match, which is definitely their best one, but I'm a bit too scared of being copyrighted, so I settled for the next best thing. What happened? Alright, sorry about that. A bit of a longer video today, but both of them are so high level that I really wanted to go into depth about it. And like the title says, this is a close round of high level amateur boxing, and I'm interested in knowing who you thought won this round, because it's quite a divisive match. I'll link the full round in the comments and description so that you can watch it at normal speed, and maybe you'll be surprised by how different it looks when they make these decisions in real time. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with these first 10 seconds and see how both react to this third round. So you see Keyshawn immediately take the center with that low lead hand guard, feinting as he subtly comes forward a little bit, occupying Cruz's high guard with just lead hand touches around, not committing to it fully yet, since he knows that's a guard he uses to counter with. Cruz resets to his left a little bit. Keyshawn just stays in front. He keeps using different level changes and slip looks here before we get into this first exchange where he jabs in. Cruz, who's looking for a counter in a high guard, simultaneously jabs to the body, which I think lands. Tries to come up with his two over the top, but Keyshawn very nicely gets under this right hand, stays close to the chest of Cruz, repositions his back leg so he's more on balance, and then goes for this little body shot and this left hook to the body, which I'm not sure if it lands. Cruz, after holding his head once he's tried to enter close range, is going to switch positions to readjust his hip, shoot a really short left uppercut to the body before repositioning his back leg more balanced and trying to go for this left hook, which is blocked by Keyshawn, but it looks like it lands quite hard. And then they back off. So really nice exchange to start off the round. Way more aggressive already than what they were doing in the previous two. Okay, so Keyshawn gets back into the center, and now Cruz is going to circle off to his left, tries to use his lead hand as he circles off. And some excellent lead hand work feints here as he just touches the guard, feints to the body, and as Keyshawn thinks a body jab is coming, he just switches it up, goes back up to the head. Now he does get caught with his own jab in between because I think he was a little bit square on when he was shooting his feints, but they both catch each other coming in with these really nice well-timed jabs, circling with different head movement looks as he does so, and then changing his guard back into a high guard. So now what's happened here? What's the intent? Well, he circled around to his left with lead hand looks, guard feints, and just these touch jabs here. So he's managed to take back the center extremely subtly. Now, Keyshawn's in a counter-punching mindset at the moment, so that's why he's happy to take the steps back. But he's trying to ignore the feints as much as possible and wait for a commitment by Andy Cruz to then slip inside and try to counter with the right hand over the top, but he lands on the shoulder instead. Interesting intent by both men here. Cruz still subtly stalking forwards with different jabs to the air. Keyshawn knows he's near the ropes, so what's he going to do? He's going to reset out to his right. And even I thought he was going to a full reset here, but actually stops it in place and feints back that he could counter once Cruz closes the distance on him. So just creates a little bit more space for himself, which he shuffles back into and sets his feet a bit more. Now he wants to get out of this position. He sees Cruz is using his high guard look to bait him in and then feinting out a counter. And as he changes his head slot onto his right side, the feints start to become a little bit more aggressive. So Keyshawn decides to use his lead hand well by feinting it out, hooking it around as he changes the angles and circles off to exit, even if it lands to the air, and then finishes his work cleanly with a jab before shuffling backwards, and he's now in a much better position in the ring than where he was. Now, Cruz has done an excellent job of baiting him in with looks before stepping back fully and trying to counter with his own jab. He continues to put on the pressure here, subtly stepping forward and then mixing it up with a pull before changing the tempo again of his whole rhythm once Keyshawn thinks he's in a safer position to feint it out as he steps forward once and then jab in as he steps forward twice. Really nicely, almost a vertical jab there through the middle of the guard. And if you look at Cruz, he gets straight away into a defensive position, not sure how Keyshawn's going to react from this, and then just touches the guard, trying not to be greedy and commit too much. Though Keyshawn does a very good job of disguising this sort of low squeeze position and surprising him back with this good jab as Cruz is standing straight up a little bit on alert. This is really nice work by both men. Cruz is going to come back in, feint before throwing out his right hand a little bit square onto the air, only doing it so he can bait out a counter from Keyshawn, which he pulls away from, and then tries to land a proper counter with his jab over the top. He then repositions his feet to get sideways on and flicks this right hand before trying to roll out. Now, if we watch Keyshawn in this position, however, he's obviously bitten on this right hand feint, which he pulls and tries to left hook out of, realizes it's a mistake, so he slips away from the jab and goes for this 2 to the body before stepping back. And I think they both even pumped their glove up to show the judges that they got the better of that exchange. But honestly, both shots were a little bit squashed, so it's hard to really give that exchange to anyone. Let's keep watching. So Keyshawn's now going to be moving backwards, using touch jabs as he circles off to his left, trying to get into a better position nearer the center. Cruz continues to stay active with these touch jabs and high guard looks. And as you can see, he adds a little slip feint, high guard look, touch jab again, just occupying the activity rate as much as possible. Keyshawn knows this, so knows he has to retaliate. So he decides to circle off a little bit more, see that Cruz is in a high guard position, which isn't the best time to attack him, if I'm being honest. But he needs to stamp his round. So he explodes in with his jab to the gloves before changing his level and trying to shoot this right hand to the body. Cruz really well just steps back from it near the end and hooks over the top with this nice counter left hook, which I'm not sure lands, but I think it does, since Keyshawn was in a pretty bad position there. He steps back, sets his feet, Cruz moves forward, he decides to slip and jab at the same time to the body, but Keyshawn is waiting for him, and it's harder to see a jab coming from this low lead hand position, and then just springs it up to the forehead as he times the step in, which is really nice timing there. Immediately gets into a defensive position since Cruz gives him something else to think about with the feint, and then he stays in this static position. So how is Cruz going to feint out Keyshawn in this instance? So he starts by slowly showing his right hand before overloading with his left side a little bit, feinting a touch to the back glove, springing it back, changing the level and going to the arm instead, and then trying for this right hand to the head. But every time I've seen Cruz throw a right hand to the head, it barely looks like he even wants to land it. It really does look like he's trying to occupy his opponent as much as possible. So you could really consider these 4 movements as just feints to back up Keyshawn and get him to open up a little bit and occupy the judges' view of who's being more active and throwing more combinations. Again, barely taking any risks with this combination as well. So this is an interesting exchange. Keyshawn's now backed up near the ropes. So Cruz knows that he wants to counter him, since that's Davis's main intent when he's in a defensive position. So Cruz is going to decide to bait him into a counter first. And how does he do that? He uses his little slip look again, touches the back glove, and stays very alert for a counter. Again, touches the back glove, stays very alert for a counter. He's trying to occupy the guard as much as possible so that Keyshawn gets a little bit desperate and counters back. But Cruz is very defensively alert for that. Now again, he's pressured him and closed the distance a little bit, so they both feint each other a little bit before pulling out. No one wants to lose a point to the other. From the reaction to this feint, however, Keyshawn thinks it's a great time to reset out to his left because of the space created. Gets away from the ropes, feints his position back in. Lovely use of resets there. Cruz cuts him off, still wants to be the aggressor this round, so again raises his high guard look to test for any reactions as he subtly closes the distance with his feet, and then sort of telegraphs his left hand a bit by bringing it up to the cheekbone, but it can be used as another form of feint telegraphing if you do it effectively, and then he feints up, feints low, this time really tries to shoot this right hand straight down the middle. I think it might partially land, but it's very hard to see. And right now something very important is happening. Even if I don't think Keyshawn's been hit with that many punches, Cruz has almost dominated the activity so far in terms of who's forcing an action, which is very important in these close rounds for judges. Now, Keyshawn defends it by shuffling back. He was a little bit square on there, knows he's near the ropes again, so he breaks his base, resets out to his right, all the way around, forcing the exit, even if Cruz is walking him down in that southpaw position. And then as he gets near the corner, he just feints him back, knows he has to finish this reset because he can't stay on it for the whole round. So he decides to try and establish his lead hand again, but gets a little bit overeager without really testing the waters much. Especially if he had been, he would have realized that Cruz is in this high guard position and he's ready to counter. Jabs to the sort of chest body area, and Cruz really well just times him with his sort of left hook counter here as he steps in. Really, really nice work. Keyshawn backs off, moves away to the left where he's got more of an exit. Okay, let's keep watching. You see Andy Cruz put some pressure, look for some defense. He raises his left glove to his temple, and this is a look that helps him time his defense better. As you can see, he transitions straight into a hard slip, little bit of upper body movement feints before slipping on the inside, but Keyshawn does a good job of just jabbing and then defending straight after before feinting out his right hand to the body. Gets Cruz to pull back, throw this left hook and then this right hand over the top. But Keyshawn tries to punch in between with this jab to offset his rhythm. But I think the right hand might land over the top. And that's credit to this inside slip position that Cruz takes with his right hand, which makes it very offline. So here he backs off Keyshawn. He uses this slip position nose wipe look, which is often used to set up his jab. Looks for some defense as Cruz decides to jab to the air in the gloves. So he backs off, resets to his left, circles a little bit, misdirects, which messes up the timing a little bit on these jabs here, and then resets again around to his right, changes the pace, moves around to his left instead, with a feint here as he continues and moves along with his back towards the ropes. Andy Cruz trying to walk with him, and Keyshawn's playing a little game of stuck in the mud here where he just feints and freezes Andy in position as he takes that time to create some space and move away. So here Andy's going to do something for the judges, but it's very effective. He's going to put a little bit more pressure on Keyshawn, firstly by jabbing at that right glove, then raising his guard, making sure it's safe to enter. You see this aggressive look makes Keyshawn shell up a little bit and raise his own guard. And what Cruz is going to do is set up his counter by popping these 4 straight shots at the gloves. Now, they're definitely great to occupy. Looks very busy. You see Keyshawn square on, try to counter with his own right hand, but Cruz has tried to set this up. So he parries it out the way and tries to go for a right hand over the top. Keyshawn bends at the waist, gets into a clinch and sort of turns. Now, the reason why that's interesting is because although none of these shots landed, this has been such a tempered round that these sort of 6 shots initiated by Andy Cruz definitely gives him an edge in terms of what the judges are seeing with the action. They're going to break away from this clinch and we're going to see Keyshawn set up his jab in a really wonderful way. He starts with that sort of lifted left glove slip look as he then uses it to frame just to the air, and as soon as he measures the distance and sees Cruz coming forward, retracts it halfway before flicking it out before trying to grab an extra point. I don't think it lands, it might partially, but it's an interesting setup. Cruz also really intelligently comes forward towards it, slips inside of it once he knows he's close, and tries to come up with this jab to the gloves here. Let's see how Cruz sets up his own. He's going to stalk forwards, use this high guard look, this slip look, feint his jab, throw it out to the gloves, and then reposition himself as he sees the touch jab come out from Keyshawn, slips simultaneously, and jabs to the body. Wonderful use of lead hand there. Keyshawn's going to do the same thing back as he steps back, changes the angle to the left, squaring up the hips of Cruz, which creates a clean opening for a jab to the body. He gets super offline with it, avoids the counter, and lands his own back. Really nice work by both. And again, we're going to see Keyshawn use the same setup as he did before. Slip on the inside, raise his left glove, use it a little bit as a frame, and then half retract it before scoring with this jab here, whilst Cruz is in the middle of a stance switch and walking around to the inside angle. Lovely little shot. And now Keyshawn's occupying the center. Now he's going to set up another jab counter here, Keyshawn. He's going to do it very effectively with good baits. After being feinted into this high guard here, he's going to stay in this sort of high guard position, lean over, make Cruz comfortable at jabbing at the gloves. You can see as he just starts to circle off with this double jab here, he steps back a little bit from the second. It looks like he's still in this passive position since he's just let 2 shots to the gloves go unnoticed. But then this third, he just baits him in, parries, counters back with his own. Really nice work. Straight back to that parry as he moves backwards. Cruz is annoyed. He wants to get his own back. So how does he work this? This is a really nice lead hand battle so far. He jabs to the right glove first, very alertly, just being defensively aware. Sees that Keyshawn's now used the parry twice. So he circles around to his left, feints first, and then comes around the glove with a jab to the forehead. Really nice work. And it would be a really nice shot if Keyshawn didn't bring his right glove really quickly back into this squeeze position. Very passive. Again, just throwing out a jab. But this time, Cruz is very switched on. Slips inside. Counters back with his own. Again, Keyshawn's right glove blocks this as he shoots his own jab to the body, which Cruz steps back from. It's an insane lead hand battle. They're both so switched on and defensively responsible. Both of them are having a hard time trying to land one. Super interesting. Now, Andy Cruz is going to come back with a couple of head movement looks before raising his guard. Keyshawn jabs at it, and as he's resetting a little bit, Keyshawn thinks it's a good time to put some pressure on, shuffle in before trying for this jab to the body. And then we're going to see Cruz go into this wonderful reset now where he shuffles off to the left, misdirects a bit, squeezes, lets Keyshawn think he's going to block the shots, but instead steps back, widens his guard a bit as he walks over to the right. Really nice work. And as he steps back in, make sure it's safe to enter by using his high guard look, being defensively responsible, seeing nothing coming back. So he lightly jabs to the body and then a right hand to the gloves, which he knows is blocked, but makes him look quite active. Again, walks over to his right, re-engages with this high guard position, looking through it. Keyshawn's now going to slip to his left, again trying to set up his jab. I think Cruz has got a reading on this now, knows he's going to jab, slips it as he simultaneously fires one himself, and then comes in with this 2 over the top, which I think lands to the gloves, but the impact from it shows that he got the better of this exchange, and then he just raises his right glove up, showing the judges that he had a little point there, which if I'm being honest, I can't stand, because he's done it like 3 times to shots that didn't land. But hey, if it's the difference between winning or losing, at this level, maybe give it a go, I don't know. Here we're going to see again Keyshawn in that slip position, and here we're going to see why he uses it. You see him lift the left glove up, Cruz is ready to engage with this high guard, jabs in, and then all Keyshawn's going to do is step a bit over to his left, which squares up Andy Cruz, screw the shot up, and Keyshawn sort of avoids it with this left step. Cruz doesn't really want to have this, so he slips inside and tries to come in with the same thing. I'm not sure if it partially lands or not, thinking more lands to the gloves. Keyshawn's playing some elusive looks with his low lead hand, gets into a wide stance, lowers his level. You see Andy Cruz drop both hands. He's going to try and establish an angle to his left, but squares up a little bit and takes this jab to the chest, but is already trying to get a little bit closer to left so he could counter with his own jab here before he gets back into it and switches southpaw, giving Keyshawn a new look by coming to the inside position with a high guard and some slip looks. So I think we're going to see Andy Cruz a little bit more aggressive now, in very subtle ways with using different looks and feints, slip feints on both sides, showing the judges he's being active, popping out that left hand to the gloves, switching again back into his orthodox position before slip feinting and touching out with his right glove again. And you see Keyshawn keep the distance in that high guard position, a bit reactive, and try to jab out as he comes close, although Cruz steps back. And it looks like he's being the more passive boxer, which is an important thing to pick up on. You see Andy Cruz do his fancy switching again, just touching out the gloves, slipping, coming up with the right hand left hook here. And then they both look for counters at the same time. Keyshawn sets his back foot out, blocks the right hand, comes back with his own, but it's slipped inside of, and then blocks the next right hand before catching it and countering with his own jab. But Andy Cruz actually manages to pull away, and I think it only lands to the chest. I mean, both of them aren't getting hit by these shots. It's quite incredible. You see the weight transfer from Andy Cruz now, completely off balance, is going to set his front foot to go into that southpaw position before springing out a jab. Very surprising shot, though Keyshawn picks up his parry hand really nicely before breaking his base, resetting out to the right, and as you can see with his lead hand, just occupies the air with it a little bit, making sure he's blocking that punch-in lane for Andy Cruz's right hand, maintaining a little bit of distance there. Continues to move around to his right. Cruz is cutting him off to his left, thinks he's doing well to close the distance, but Keyshawn halts his momentum and avoids the left hook by just pivoting off and moving off to that space that he's created in the left. Really high level boxing in these last 10 seconds. As he moves around to his left, Keyshawn's going to use as a bit of lead hand. He's going to show his jab, get Cruz a little bit reactive to it by slipping inside of it, but then turn it instead into this really nice long left hook as he pivots away and continues to exit to his left. As you can see, even using some slip looks there, feinting out his own jab. Here he's looking for a counter. He's looking to counter Cruz's lead hand as he continues circling. Cruz steps in with a jab, and you see Keyshawn simultaneously parry as he steps to the inside of the jab, which makes it fall short a little bit, and jab out himself, point scored, and decides to keep on circling off to the left, showing his lead hand to make sure Cruz is a little bit more hesitant in closing the distance. Now, how's Cruz going to reply here? He's going to continue stalking in this low guard fashion with the slip looks before suddenly shuffling in and basically halting Keyshawn's movement with these sort of step feints, and then knows Keyshawn's defense is tricky, so he's going to decide to feint up, feint low, wonderful level change, gets Keyshawn into completely defensive position, comes back up with the lead hand really nicely, but then shoots the right hand to the body. Again, wonderful level change there, and then comes up with a couple of combinations, which mainly land to the gloves, I think, but looks really bad on Keyshawn's part since he's being so passive. I think this right hand sneaks through at the end. Keyshawn tries to grab, come forward, smothers on Andy's chest a little bit before trying for his own right hand, which sort of grazes the back of the head. And Cruz wonderfully just gets on the inside of this right hand, low with the shoulder and the slip, and then comes back up, gets partially touched with this left hook, but gets his own point back with the right hand. So very even so far. Keyshawn backs away, moves off to the left. That wasn't a great exchange for him. So let's watch him. He continues circling. He's going to use a couple of defensive looks and then try to get under this right hand from Andy Cruz, get to his chest before holding a little bit. Now, Andy's right and Keyshawn's left is blocked off, so they're working their free hand. None of them are using very short shots, both trying to smother each other's range, and so they break away. So let's watch straight away. You're going to see Andy Cruz come out with his high guard, look straight away for 2 counters. Lovely, lovely work. Smothers the distance, steps back from Keyshawn's counter. Now let's watch how he set that up. So he walks around to the right, raises his guard. This is his guard that he loves to use when he's staying alert and looking for defense, and helps him to time Keyshawn's punches. He steps forward a little bit subtly, sees the touch jab coming, slips onto the inside of it, tries to go for this left hand to the body, which is really well parried from Keyshawn, but he already is setting up his next counter. Pulls away from the jab, wonderful instincts, touch one to the back glove, then goes to the body with a touch jab, and then tries to come around with the right hand. Wonderful defense by Keyshawn as well, just smothering the distance, getting under to Andy Cruz's chest, not letting the shots come out. Cruz is happy to stay there for a little bit, knows he's being pushed back, so a right hand's coming, and stays super defensively alert from that, just inches away from it, and shuffles back. Incredible defense by both men. It's really impressive to watch. Again, Andy Cruz comes back into that high guard, circles around to his left, knows the jab's coming, so he just slips onto the inside of it. Is in a bit of a square base now, so we don't know which hand he wants to lead with. He steps to the outside while throwing out his left hand, which I think surprises Keyshawn, but doesn't hit him. And then Keyshawn resets around to the right. Lovely work. Cruz closing the distance now, similar to the shuffle drill for my boxers here, as he closes the distance, sees the punch coming, and instead of stepping back, actually just pivots away, which is a very demoralizing thing for you to happen, especially when someone's changing the angle. You see him dance around with his feet. I'm not a huge fan of these stance switches. I don't think they get much done, but in terms of aggressive looks, they do look like he's being the more active boxer. If we look at Keyshawn's work, however, after missing this jab, he's going to circle off to his left, show his lead hand out into the air. You see that Cruz immediately after getting to his high guard reacts with a parry, and then a wonderful punch feint here from Keyshawn as he steps in, feints his right hand almost halfway through, a full feint. I really believed he was throwing it, but instead exploits that defensive head position from Cruz and lands this left hook around the ear instead. Lovely work, pivots off a little bit from any possible counters with it. Again, trying to maintain the distance, he sees Cruz comes forward, jabs out, but Cruz wonderfully times the slip, feints out his own counter. Cruz doing a lot to make sure he's seeming active, feinting out his double jab, hitting the gloves there. And now I think Keyshawn has, in his mind, decided that he has won the fight. So he decides to frustrate Andy Cruz a little bit by maintaining the distance, knowing he's needing something big in order to win the fight. Wonderful step backs from Keyshawn, very fundamental, a lovely double step back there. And as Cruz jumbles up his base as he switches coming forward, leans a little bit too far on the front foot. He baits Keyshawn's jab out, pulls away from it just at the last second. It might touch, and then tries to come in with his own counter, but Keyshawn keeps his distance and steps back from it. Back pedals away to the left. Cruz even running him down a little bit, feinting out his first jab, running him down again as Keyshawn safely back pedals, staying sideways on and defensively aware. It's a nice form of a reset there, but then backs himself up into the ropes here. Again, that same stutter step feint that he did before to freeze Keyshawn, and then gets sideways on, feints the jab twice before throwing to the gloves, feints the right hand to the body, and then tries to come up with a 1-2, but Keyshawn head low, gets under, bends at the waist into the chest of Andy Cruz. And that's the end of the round. A really wonderful fight to study. High-level amateurs will always have these excellent bouts where both of them are barely getting hit with anything since they're so defensively alert. I'm interested to know who you think won this round after watching this breakdown, because it was a high-level competitive fight. All of their fights were, all four. I know people like to make jokes that Andy Cruz dominated each one, but that is clearly not true. Both of them had excellent moments of boxing and success, and these were tough rounds to score. So I'm interested in knowing what you thought of it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned a lot and you like seeing these high-level amateur bouts being broken down. But yeah, thank you for watching. The next video will be on Teofimo Lomachenko. Then I should have Bivol versus Zerdo and maybe study that Boots Ennis fight that happened recently. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and happy training.